The time is 6:30 p.m. The regular meeting of the Greensburg Redevelopment Commission is called to order. At this time, if everyone would please silence your electronic devices. And then if everyone would stand, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Jody, would you conduct roll call, please?
Yes. David Weigel.
Present.
Adam Winsel.
Present.
Ken Dornick.
Present.
Darren Covington.
Here.
Shannon McClure. Present. Jody Kaufman. Present.
Thank you. Approved minutes of the September 20th, 2018 regular meeting. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review them. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, they stand approved as presented. First item on our agenda is update of project status for Veterans Way Phase 2. Mr. May.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Veterans Way Phase 2, our consultant has pretty nearly completed all of the design work. They have submitted all of the, what we call tracing documents. It's a whole litany of different forms and reports and statements they have to submit. The only one that is not completed, the only item not completed on that list is the right-of-way certification. And that right-of-way certification will come when we have secured the last parcel. So we are now down to securing technically 3 parcels, although 2 of those 3 belong to the same owner. And I don't know, Chris, do you have any revised schedule on those?
Outside.
Okay. When we talked last month, we talked about the letting date for the project, and we have officially requested that the letting be moved until March, correct? March of 18, and that is because there is a 3 to 4 month lead time from when NDOT has everything in their hands before they will get it on the letting, and so we're waiting to get this right-of-way certification behind us. We actually have, I guess, possession of the parcel that was purchased from Edgewater Apartments, the leasing office building. So we have custody of that. We have paid for, issued payment for the Greensburg Commons property, which is Tractor Supply. And so everything is getting there, and we're just down to the last couple of days that cleaned up.
If we have a letting of March 2019, would they be able to start construction?
Typically, the notice to proceed is issued about 6 weeks after the letting date. That's the time it takes NDOT to get all the paperwork in place. And we have to make the payment to the state for our 20% share. After the letting, they will send us an invoice. We will do that in as efficient a manner as possible. We may recommend to you that you all hold a special meeting to authorize the payment when we know the amount, so that we can do everything possible to keep that moving forward. So.
Well, that's certainly a big project, and we'd want to do everything we can to keep
The
running.
wheels of progress moving. Yes.
Any questions from anybody for Phase 2? While you're standing there, how about a Lincoln Street update?
Lincoln Street is moving forward. The weather got colder here in the last week or so, and it makes you a little nervous. We now have, as of today, all of the new storm sewer installed south of Hendrick Street. So we have the work in the Hendrick Street intersection, and then the block from Hendricks to Walnut, and the work in the Walnut intersection to finish up the storm drainage. The contractor is in the process of installing under drains, which is field tile, if you will, that we put down under the curbs to help capture water under the pavement. That is, well, the block from Washington to north is finished. About half of the block from Maine to Washington is done, and they were starting today going north from North Street. Their goal, that has to be completed. When that's completed, then the curb work can commence. And their goal is to get half of the curbs in, which would be from the alley behind the armory, everything from there south to Main Street. So they're working in that direction. Mess still looks like a construction site. If any of you have been by there or up in there, the mess is a bit less. They're burying the pipe and it's disappearing, and their piles of stone are disappearing, that sort of thing. They also have installed all of the streetlight foundations for the entire project, and they're working on getting the conduit and the wiring in for the streetlights. So we're moving forward, and I'm hopeful that in a week's time we're going to be either seeing or very close to seeing the curbs go in. After the curbs go in, we have the driveway approaches to pour and the sidewalks to pour, and then the final, we'll grade out the soil behind all that and get ready for seeding. Weather dependent, it's still possible that we're going to finish this on time. If the weather goes cold at some point, we'll have to go to plan B. For me, plan B would be to get the curbs and the sidewalk finished, get the earthwork roughed in, probably not fine graded, because if it gets wet, you're not going to be able to do the proper job, and we're not going to be able to seed, so that would wait until spring. I think we will get the pavement restored enough that we can put traffic on it for the winter, and come back in the spring and finish our paving work and our pavement markings and our seeding work and cleanup. But I still intend that we get done this fall, and that's our target that we're still working towards.
I have a.
Yes.
We need any.
Another change order. And again, this is not your change order to execute, because the Board of Works is the contracting authority, but you are the fiducial authority. So we're here this evening asking for your approval of an additional $27,020.16. There was a couple of tiles that we found that needed to be extended and hooked up to our new drainage system. There was an 8-inch sanitary sewer that was in the way and had to be adjusted to get it out of the way. And we had, y'all remember a while back we talked about a box culvert, an old box culvert that we didn't know ahead of time and we found. So we had some additional common excavation is what we call it. We had to do a little more digging to get that out of the way. That was a $7,000 add, and then this last item at $15,850, the cast-in-place structure at the end of that box culvert, or where we cut it off, we had to build in place a new structure to hook our pipe into that old box culvert. So that's the $15,850. The whole thing totaled $27,020.16. If you approve the funding, we will go to the Board of Works in their meeting in early November and ask them to execute this change order.
Well, I think that's one of those things where it looks like our hands are probably tied, because it's gonna look funny if we don't, water's not gonna drain quite right if we don't approve this, right?
Well, worse than that, the works agreement.
Sorry.
Or maybe better than that.
We're trying to keep moving.
I get it.
At the end of the day, you have to do the right thing.
We agree.
We've got a really nice project, and we want it to finish as a nice project.
I'll make a motion that we, accept the bill, pay for the bill for the work agreement and change order number 2 in the amount of $27,020.16.
Thank you, Ed. Is there a second? 10 seconds, thank you. Any other discussion about this?
Out of 257, right?
Just a thought.
Does this come out of the 257?
Maybe not, because this is extra, and at some point that account's gonna be depleted.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get there when we run out of money.
Just a
Right
thought
now.
is that when the whole project was estimated, where Ron was dealing with unknowns under the surface, and they keep coming up to bite us, there was no way to foresee any of that. And so it's a time and a money issue, but it's just stuff that I think we just need to address. I don't think there's a way around it. There was no way to foresee it.
Well, we're still less than the number.
Our
that's on
original-
the original project.
Our original estimate, our preliminary estimate was roughly 1.4 million.
Yeah.
Our bid came in a little under 1.1. I think so far we've added 30,000 to that 1.1. We know we're gonna have some, what we call overruns, because we had to change out some drainage structures, so that's gonna add some more that you really don't see yet. I think realistically, I would really be tickled if we come in under 1.2, but maybe 1.25. Mark, you keep track of the money better than I do. Am I off course here?
Yeah, in other words, we dug out all this extra material. You haven't seen it, but we paid for something to fill that back in with. So we know we're gonna overrun structure back there. And when we get to the end, we'll clean
So
up
those-
all the overs and unders. So there's already some additional costs that have been incurred that we'll never see until we get closer to the end of the project. I would like to see it at 1.2, but I think the big one's gonna be when we get to our what we call our full depth patching,
Our
of
paving
HMA or asphalt, because we've got a lot more holes than we ever anticipated on having. I mean, by the time the water lines got done, we ended up with some large areas there, the gas company had to move, we ended up with some additional holes there. You know, when we done our plans, we done what we knew we were gonna cut, as far as getting our storm pipes in, getting our improvements done. We couldn't foresee some of the excavation that occurred for the utility.
And actually, when we did the plans, we weren't putting in the new water line. That decision was made later in the process. So at some point, when we get a better handle on this, we'll have a little more detailed discussion about how to accommodate all of that.
Any other questions pertaining to this change order number 2? If not, I'll call for a question on the vote. Those in favor of paying the bill, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I really would love to stand here tonight and say, well, the change orders are done. I'm not that naive any longer. But we've done a lot of the digging in the ground, and it's in the ground that you find the unknown conditions. And I'm reasonably hopeful that last block shouldn't be, pipe gets smaller, there's just things going our way. God, please don't punish me for having said this. So,
Do you have any idea when North Street will be closed for a time? Won't you have to close North Street off from people being able to get onto Lincoln?
it's closed now. Everything is closed now. The barricades get pulled back through the day. North Street. Yes, North Street
No,
is
I'm sorry, Walnut.
Walnut. No, probably in, I was
Like
gonna
every
say 2 to
morning I
3
go to work
weeks.
I'd
at
say
8
a week
and
and
it's
a half
blocked.
if they can keep
And
Yeah.
by lunch they're out of the way, so I just
Yes,
didn't know if
that,
they need to officially.
probably in, Mark thinks a week and a half, so let's say a week and a half to 3 weeks it'll be closed. Don't know how long. We'll try and open that back up, even if before we pay perhaps.
Will we need to officially close it all the way to the hospital? I could ask these questions like every day.
We will close at Walnut on the north side, so you will not be able to get through going south, because there's storm drains that go, storm sewers that go across Lincoln there.
They won't close when they do the sidewalks?
On the north end, probably not. Not just for the sidewalks. There will be construction equipment in there, there will be concrete trucks and that sort of thing. But they probably can get through there. But they ought to form the habit of going across First Street.
Yeah, old habits are hard to break.
Isn't that amazing? Yes.
Anything else on Lincoln Street? Thank you. And then while you're standing there, anything to report on the railroad?
We had our opportunity on the 5th of October to appear at NDOT. The mayor and Mark and I went down and we met with the group evaluating the applications. There were, I think we told you before, 28 applications, including ours. There were, of those, that was statewide, there were 3 of them in the Seymour district, us and 2 others, don't know who the others were. There was 300, remember the number?
320 million.
320 million in applications, and there's 125 million available. They listened very politely, they asked questions. We promoted our interest in public safety, primarily for provision of emergency services, fire, police, ambulance, but also public safety for the motoring public in general, because it's a known fact in the transportation industry that at-grade railroad crossings are dangerous. So anytime we can have a grade separated crossing and eliminate people crossing at grade, it's an improvement. My concern continues to be that there has to be some of these applications that have high volume of train traffic and high volume of vehicular traffic. And those, I'm sure, have a better return on investment for the state, so I'm thinking they might get looked at a little harder. On the other hand, if you never ask, you know what your answer is, it's no. So we're making the effort and we'll see what comes of it.
What's the timeline on that? Will we know in a
The
month?
answer was to be the middle of
Middle
November.
of the end of November.
Middle to end of November. They said they should know who the awards will be made to.
I tell them, we also got an opportunity to mention the possibility of NDOT assuming that becoming the new 41 or 421 if it was built, and there seemed to be some interest from 1 or 2 of the people on it.
We had talked with them with the idea that they would route 421 up that road. Doing that could permit them to close the current Michigan Avenue crossing.
And that takes our traffic counts up with that closure.
So that might make it more attractive. Don't know.
I was gonna ask, which crossing would be closed?
The proposal was to close Vine Street and East Street. We offered 2. East Street is an interesting thing with the St. Mary's gone. It's a little different than it used to be. But if you close the East Street crossing, you have to make East Street, I don't guess you have to, but it seems prudent to make East Street 2-way. And now with East Street being 1-way southbound, there's no need for the traffic signal at Maine and Michigan and east to accommodate traffic coming from the south. But if it's made 2-way, then that signal has to be modified to permit traffic to come north off the street. It'd be a very small volume, but otherwise we got a really big permanent parking lot down there. People go in, never come out.
And that was another thing.
It sounds
we
like a
sold
Halloween
because
story, doesn't it?
that is NDOT's traffic signal.
It's their signal. They're gonna have to solve
If they would look
that.
at the option that we presented them, that signal would go away in its entirety because you'd have very low volume of traffic crossing from the north or the south either way. And it could probably
If all the traffic comes up the new route, you don't need a signal at that location any longer.
Then you could probably go to stop signs on the north and south and they would save traffic signals.
We're just putting a roundabout in. Everyone loves roundabouts.
Let's do it.
I'm ignoring you, Adam.
Time for you to go home and put your coat and tie on.
So I'm just curious, as a practical matter, how do you close that? How do you close that grid?
How do we
Put a
close?
barrier up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the minimal way of doing it. The preferred method would be a roundabout. I'm sorry, a cul-de-sac.
A cul-de-sac.
See, Adam, it's your fault. The preferred method would be a cul-de-sac, and by the time you build a cul-de-sac, there wouldn't be anything left adjoining property-wise, so you wouldn't need the street, but.
So, all right, so we're not digging up the street or anything? We're
No, because there are some properties in there that would still need access. So we barricade off, same as at Vine Street. Just make them dead-end streets.
The railroad would actually come out and take out the rate crossing.
Oh,
They would completely remove the crossing in there right away, and then all you would have would be a vegetative area.
Okay.
On the other side of it, there would be 2 railroad tracks,
Okay.
And then on the other side of that, more vegetative
station
area.
and some asphalt again.
Yeah, I mean, I could just see people complaining if the crossing was still there and all you did was put up a concrete barrier.
No.
Then people would think, well, why can't you just still cross here, you know? Although
Any
they
other
might still say
questions?
that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, thank you.
Next item is approval of claims. We have first one for the Lincoln Street, which is to be paid out of Fund 257, which is where we set money aside to match the state's money. And it is from Globe Asphalt and Paving for the current work. And it's for $115,122.39. 115,122.39. Since that's out of Fund 257, I'd entertain a motion to pay that out of that by itself.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Adam. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Darren, thank you. Any questions about that claim? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Then we have, I think, 4 claims, all for Phase 2. And there's, for the month of August and the month of September, from American Structure Point, and so there's 2 identical bills of $4,539 for each month. There's a bill from, excuse me, this isn't for Phase 2, from Strand Associates for the feasibility study of $13,631. And then we have a $150 bill pertaining to Veterans Way to move Village Community Partners for relocation services of $150.
David, may I interrupt?
You may.
I don't believe you should have 2 identical claims from American Structure.
Is there a
Well-
chance one was for August and then it's past due for September?
Well, the number is, bottom line is identical. And then this says September 27.
This is not correct. This one should be for $3,400.
Okay,
There you go.
so,
Because one of them's for right-of-way acquisition cost and one of them is for right-of-way development, so
okay,
change that to 3,400.
okay, so excuse me, we have 3,400 and 4,539 and 13,631 and 150, adding up to $21,720. Should be paid out of 802, and as of September 21st, we had $440,000, 45 dollars 74 cents. So we could probably pay that easily out of 802. So if there's a motion to that effect,
So moved.
thank you, Ken. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jody. Any discussion? If not, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I think that covers all of our claims. It takes us to the end of our agenda. Our next meeting date will be in 4 weeks on Thursday, November 15th, 2018, right here.
As a note, I will not be available.
As a note, I will not either.
Are you gonna be able to make it there?
Yeah, as far as I know.
You're gonna be able to make it, okay.
We would have a quorum if,
Yeah.
And I can take minutes.
Awesome. Wasn't voluntary.
I knew you would, so.
It's the same night as our work.
It's all good.
so.
okay. Well, if there's no objections, we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you all.